But they're wanting to they're wanting to basically get rid of any programs and any majors and minors that revolve anything to do with
queer
identities, gender, gender and sex and whatnot.
Oh, that's some fucking bullshit.
You put out this memorandum and then
Don't fucking play in our faces like that, man. What the fuck?
You have the audacity to put out... No. You put out the memorandum and then you have the audacity to come here and then be all about, we support students. We support y'all, don't worry. We wanna be there for y'all.
It feels like the fucking Tim Robinson skit where he's dressed up as a hot dog. So we're trying to find out like who fucking did this. We're trying to find the guy that did this. That's you! You did this!
At this point, just don't even show up if you're gonna...
The moment we started convincing each other that it was our job to judge and pick apart the lives of people we know nothing about, we began letting these problems guide the ship.
I think just like the ability to find community and to create community is more important than the actual label itself. Because family means the same thing no matter where you go.
It's community where we find ourselves, where we find strength, especially in these days. I think that community is more important than it's ever been.
Because when we show up, there could be people that come for us. And people who would come for us need to see that if you come for one of us, you come for all of us.
If you have community and you know there are other people who are going through the exact same experiences you are, it just lightens everyone's load.
There will be people who won't be written about, and there will be people that will be written about. And the only difference between the two, in my opinion, is who holds the pen. We're actively watching ourselves be erased from history. What we do about that is what will make history.
I want to stop living in like 5 high school history chapters.
Please stop living through major historical events.
Yeah.
Please. I don't want to be in a textbook.
I know about the Stonewall stuff and generally about some of like AIDS history, but that's about it. And I'm kind of a little ashamed of myself that I don't know that much queer history.
Understand that these things are cyclical, that it is a pendulum swing, right?
We have very little history of the LGBTQ community in Texas until post-World War II, when the American servicemen and women returned from Europe, having seen the freedom that gay people enjoyed in Europe. They were not willing to go back to their small towns with their small-minded ways.
I grew up in Archer City, Texas, which is a really small town about 20 minutes outside of Wichita Falls, but then I did go to Western State University, and it was fantastic. I loved it. But I knew always that it was never something that I was gonna stay with. I was never gonna stay in Wichita Falls.
The queer community, although it's here in this town, it's not very large from what I've seen, or at least not very active. So outside of the times whenever I was in public school, middle school, high school, I didn't really interact with a lot of queer people outside of that. I didn't really interact with the community outside of that.
I really started taking steps to build the community that I wanted, and that was really salient when I came to Wichita Falls, because I knew that, it didn't necessarily have a robust queer community.
Which the people that are in this group, queer people, will have these parties and these clubs, and it's just a great old time, and it's a nice area to be able to let loose and just be yourself and pretend like the outside world isn't a thing. I told myself I want to go to one college party, not because I like the partying experience, just to say I've been there.
I'm about the same. I've yet to do it, but I want to do the same. I'm not a very big party person.
The earliest bars were in 1950, Villa Fontana and Club Reno. Also, house parties were popular, but both public gay bars and private house parties were frequently raided by the police.
A lot of times, physical brutality like that tends to drive people in the closet and keep them from gathering because they don't want that to happen to them. But whenever it's something that, like a law, that tends to bring people out.
Texas Penal Code 2106 criminalized homosexual conduct by making it a Class C misdemeanor for two people of the same sex to engage in, quote, deviant sexual intercourse, end quote.
It's criminalizing an entire population of people because if you sign any kind of contract in the state of Texas, you are saying that I'm going to uphold the laws of Texas. And if one of them is homosexual conduct is illegal, you're breaking the law, which makes you a de facto criminal.
It's difficult because every law that is passed in this social war we have going on is immediately harmful to the people that most affects. And yet it is so far from the attention of the people it least affects.
I was raised. Yeah. Something you put on social media. You put out a photo, I believe it was March 31st, of you wearing a shirt that said, "Don't mess with trans kids." And I just want to clarify, I want to ask a definitional question here. What is a trans kid?
Yeah. So for the context on this question, trans children in the state of Texas were targeted by the most powerful man in the state. Their parents threatened with having those kids taken from them and put in foster care or turned over to CPS, which for those of you unfamiliar with the foster care system in the state of Texas, dozens of children have died in CPS custody for the crime of identifying as something other than what is declared on their birth certificate. So all I was trying to do as they were being bullied is to stand next to them and say, do not mess with these children in Texas.
There was this kid who I would see at the playground near the apartment duplex that I lived at. I don't remember exactly what age, but extremely young. Again, we didn't know what language to use to express these thoughts or ideas, but they knew that the gender assigned to them was not the gender that felt right.
These restrictive foundations that have made it impossible to be authentic in public spaces has made me lose a lot of people. And that's never something that I thought I was going to be able to say about something that just has to do with, I guess, your outward expression, because it's so much more than that. And I think that made me realize that it's so much more than that.
Before the appellate court overturned it, in 1987, it was legal to be gay for almost a whole year. So Baker versus Wade was a case out of Dallas, and it was a man named Don Baker. He had been a teacher and a very good teacher.
He lost his job due to the superintendent's policies. Dallas Independent School District Superintendent Nolan Estes declared that there were no gay teachers in DISD. And if there were, he declared that he would seek them out and he would fire them. He said maybe there were one or two. And Don Baker won his case. The ruling was a major victory for gay rights advocates and one of the earliest federal court decisions to invalidate a sodomy law. 17 years later, Lawrence v. Texas struck down all sodomy laws nationwide.
It's not just, saying that people can have whatever kind of sexual relations they want in private. It was very important, and it was like the first really immense victory that made people feel more comfortable to come out, more comfortable to live openly, and that kind of thing.
I've never experienced someone giving this much of a fuck about what I do. We did a show where theoretically a minor could have been. Mind you, it was a closed patio with an open bar. I got an email from like a spam email account that basically said someone had seen me do something inappropriate during a performance that could be now considered illegal under this new law. It was a full scare tactic, but it was 1 minute after I finished the show. Somebody was just waiting for the show to finish to try and make a case when I did nothing wrong.
In times when the world wants to convince us that we need to hide or the community around us is not as welcoming as we need it to be, that's when isolation becomes a problem. And as a community in general, our folks struggle with mental health in ways that I don't think other communities really understand. And mental health problems plus isolation, that can be a death sentence.
A major reason for suicide in our community is like repression of who they are, of their identity. Not being able to express who they are safely, it can lead to a lot of bad things. My first romantic partner, which was the first queer person I was exposed to, he unfortunately passed due to suicide. But before he died, he made me promise I wouldn't make the same mistake he did. And with the massive wave of anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ legislation as a whole, it might lead to an increase in mortalities. I do see that being a problem.
We learned how to isolate so well that we've forgotten, I think, in some ways, that in order to be in community, we have to be willing to be vulnerable.
Because community is not an emergency service, right? That you can just call on when you haven't put anything in. You have to actively engage in community in order to really feel, I think, sort of the benefits of it.
Clothing can be pretty difficult. It's a tricky thing to get through, and the Pride closet is very important to me because I know that eventually, even if it's just mainly me in the closet on most of the days, that's perfectly okay. Because I know that eventually there will be a day that will come where someone does need to go through the clothes, because it can be a form of like gender affirming care to find clothes that you feel comfortable within.
I also kind of started another organization for staff and faculty, and that was needed. It was needed for me. I couldn't just be a mentor to Pride. I also needed support for myself. It's a whole lot easier to resist when you have others to lean on.
Because a lot of people have that self-doubt about their own experiences and about their own thoughts. And they're not sure if what they're feeling is normal, but if it's accepted, if they're crazy for thinking things or feeling things.
And so seeing people who are fighting not only on their behalf, but on your behalf to deserve to exist and to deserve to exist loudly, that is so encouraging. And it creates like these invisible strings of community that don't necessarily always interact in a public way.
If we give them an inch, they take a mile. So let's go ahead and start. Let's be a mile. Don't give them an inch. Take a mile back, bitch.
The only antidote to fascism is community. And it's true of all kinds of oppression. The only antidote is community. That's all we have. And it's so important because those people will support you. They'll help you get through. And there's really no other answer.